The results of Kamma are called Vipaka, the ripening. These terms, Kamma and Vipaka, and the ideas they stand for, must not be confused. Vipaka is predetermined by ourselves, by previous Kamma, but Kamma itself, in the ultimate sense, that is, when resisting all external pressures and built-up tendencies, is the product of choice and free will between wholesome and unwholesome deeds, good or bad actions. Hence the Buddha said, intention constitutes Kamma. Without intention, a deed is sterile. It produces no reaction of moral significance. One reservation, however, is here required. If a deed done in culpable negligence proves harmful to others, the lack of mindfulness, circumspection, or consideration shown will constitute unwholesome Kamma and will have its Vipaka, though the harm done was not intended, i.e. the deed was not motivated by hate, yet there was present another unwholesome root, delusion, moha, which includes, for instance, irresponsible thoughtlessness. Kamma is action, Vipaka is result. Therefore, Kamma is the active principle, Vipaka is the passive mode of coming to be. People believe in predeterminism, fatalism, merely because they see results, but do not see causes. In the process of dependent origination, Padika Samupada, both causes and effects are shown in their proper relationship. A person may be born deaf, dumb, and blind. That is the consequence of some unwholesome Kamma which manifested or presented itself to his consciousness in the last thought moment of his previous death. Throughout life he may have to suffer the consequences, Vipaka, of that deed, whatever it may have been, but that fact does not prevent him from forming fresh Kamma of a wholesome type to restore the balance in his next life. Furthermore, by the aid of some good Kamma from the past, together with strong effort and favourable circumstances in the present life, which of course includes the compassionate help of others, the full effects of his bad Kamma may be mitigated even here and now. Cases of this kind are seen everywhere, where people have overcome to a great extent the most formidable handicaps. The result is that they have turned even the bad Vipaka to profit for themselves and others. One outstanding example of this is the famous Dr. Helen Keller, but this calls for almost superhuman courage and willpower. Most people in similar circumstances remain passive sufferers of the effects of their bad deeds until those effects are exhausted. Thus it has to be in the case of those born mentally defective or in the lower states of suffering, having scarcely any capacity for the exercise of free will. They are subject entirely to predeterminism until the bad Vipaka has run its course. So by acknowledging some element of predeterminism, yet at the same time maintaining the ultimate ascendancy of will, Buddhism resolves a moral problem which otherwise seems insoluble. Part of the personality and the conditions in which it exists are predetermined by the deeds and the total personality of the past. But in the final analysis, the mind is able to free itself from the bondage of past personality construction and launch out in a fresh direction. Now we have seen that the three roots of unwholesome actions, greed, hatred, and delusion, produce bad results. The three roots of wholesome actions, disinterestedness, amity, and wisdom, produce good results. Actions which are performed automatically or unconsciously or are incidental to some other action have an entirely different objective, do not produce results beyond their immediate mechanical consequences. If one treads on an insect in the dark, one is not morally responsible for its death. One has merely been an unconscious instrument of the insect's own Kamma in producing its death. But while there is a large class of actions of the last type, which cannot be avoided, the more important actions in everyone's life are dominated by one or other of these 6 psychological roots, wholesome and unwholesome. Even where a life is physically inactive, the thoughts are at work. They are producing Kamma. Cultivation of the mind therefore consists in removing, not suppressing, unwholesome mental states and substituting wholesome ones. Modern civilization develops by suppressing unwholesome, the antisocial instincts. Consequently, they break out from time to time in unwholesome eruptions. A war breaks out, and the homicidal maniac comes into his own. Murder is made praiseworthy. Buddhism, on the other hand, aims at removing the unwholesome elements. For this, the special techniques of meditation, bhavana, are necessary. Good Kamma is the product of wholesome states of mind, and to be certain of this, it is essential to gain an understanding of the states of consciousness and one's most secret motives. Unless this is done, it is next to impossible to cultivate exclusively wholesome actions, because in every human consciousness there is a complex of hidden motivations. They are hidden because we do not wish to acknowledge them. In seeing himself too clearly, in every human being there is a built-in defense mechanism that prevents him from seeing himself too clearly. If he should happen to be confronted with his subconscious mind too suddenly, he may receive an unpleasant psychological shock. His carefully constructed image of himself is rudely shattered. He is appalled by the crudity, the unsuspected savagery of his real motivations. The keen and energetic social worker may find that he is really actuated by a desire to push other people around, to tell them what is best for them, and to force them to do his will. The professional humanitarian, always championing the underdog, may find to his distress that his outbursts of high moral indignation at the injustices of society are nothing more than an expression of his real hatred of other humans, made respectable to himself and others by the guise of concern for the victims of society. Or each may be compensating for hidden defects in his own personality. All these facts are well known to present-day psychologists, but how many people submit themselves to the analyst's probings? Buddhism teaches us to do it for ourselves, and to make ourselves immune to unpleasant or shocking revelations by acknowledging beforehand that there is no immutable personality, no self to be either admired or deplored. An action Kamma, once it is performed, is finished so far as its actual performance is concerned. It is also irreversible. The moving finger writes, and having writ moves on, nor all your piety nor wit can lure it back to cancel half a line, nor all your tears wash out one word of it. Edward Fitzgerald, the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam. The moving finger is no mystery to one who understands Kamma and Vipaka. Ask not whose finger writes upon the wall, it is thine own. What remains of the action is its potential, the inevitability of its result. It is